The Cold War, although officially ending in 1991, still influences global politics today. This video explores the formative years of this global standoff from 1945 to 1962. After World War II, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as dominant powers. The United States, with its economic and military might, led the Western world. The Soviet Union, despite immense wartime losses, gained respect and influence in Eastern Europe. The uneasy alliance between the capitalist West and the communist East quickly gave way to ideological and geopolitical conflicts. These differences set the stage for the Cold War. The Red Army's role in liberating Eastern Europe strengthened Soviet influence. The ideological divide between the two superpowers became increasingly apparent. The Yalta and Potsdam conferences in 1945 highlighted the rift between the United States and the Soviet Union. The division of Germany into occupation zones symbolized this growing divide. Soviet influence in Eastern Europe rapidly expanded, causing concern in the West. Churchill's Iron Curtain speech in 1946 warned against Soviet expansionism. The Truman Doctrine in 1947 marked a turning point in U.S. foreign policy, pledging to contain communism. The United States pledged to support free peoples resisting communist pressure. This era of global rivalry, marked by suspicion and mistrust, had begun. The division of Europe represented a fundamental ideological fracture. The ideological confrontation between the United States and the Soviet Union was at the heart of the Cold War. The United States championed democracy and capitalism, while the Soviet Union advocated communism. This ideological battle influenced political movements and alliances worldwide. Newly independent nations became battlegrounds for influence. The competition for global domination fueled regional conflicts and proxy wars. The Korean War, 1950 to 1953, marked a significant escalation of the Cold War. It pitted the Communist North, backed by China and the Soviet Union, against the South, supported by the United States and its allies. The United States intervened militarily to prevent the spread of communism in Asia. The war solidified the division of Korea and intensified the ideological struggle. The 1953 armistice ended the fighting but did not resolve the underlying tensions. The nuclear arms race came to define the Cold War. The Soviet Union's first atomic bomb test in 1949 shattered the US nuclear monopoly. Both superpowers amassed vast arsenals, leading to the doctrine of mutually assured destruction, MAD. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. The balance of terror created constant fear and uncertainty. The Cold War extended into space with the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik in 1957. The United States responded by creating NASA and increasing funding for its space program. The space race spurred scientific and technological advancements. The Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969 was a major achievement for the United States. The space race showcased the intense competition of the Cold War and remarkable achievements. The United States refined its Cold War doctrine, focusing on the containment of communism. The domino theory shaped US foreign policy, particularly in Southeast Asia. The Soviet Union, under Khrushchev, pursued global influence by supporting communist movements. The competition extended to economic aid, cultural diplomacy, and propaganda. The United States used programs like the Marshall Plan to counter Soviet influence. The battle for hearts and minds played out on the world stage. The domino theory influenced US intervention in Southeast Asia, particularly in Vietnam. The United States escalated its involvement to prevent the spread of communism. The Vietnam War became a costly and divisive conflict. The fall of Saigon in 1975 did not lead to a regional domino effect. The legacy of the domino theory continued to shape US foreign policy. The Cold War witnessed periods of heightened tensions and cautious détente. Brinkmanship, exemplified by the Cuban Missile Crisis, brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. The crisis was resolved through diplomacy, highlighting the dangers of miscalculation. Efforts to reduce tensions led to periods of détente, such as the signing of the Limited Test Ban Treaty in 1963. However, the underlying ideological conflict and mutual distrust persisted. The Cold War remained a defining feature of the international order. The Cold War was a fierce competition for technological superiority. Both superpowers invested heavily in military equipment and scientific advancements. The nuclear arms race led to the development of increasingly powerful weapons. Technological competition extended to a range of military equipment and innovations. This race spurred significant progress but also fueled concerns about potential conflict. The development of nuclear weapons fundamentally altered the nature of warfare and cast a long shadow over the Cold War. The destructive power of these weapons, capable of annihilating entire cities and causing widespread radioactive fallout, introduced a new era of existential threat. The concept of mutually assured destruction, MAD, emerged as a chilling reality, positing that any nuclear attack would inevitably trigger a retaliatory strike, resulting in the destruction of both the aggressor and the defender. This fragile balance of terror, while arguably preventing a direct nuclear confrontation, created a constant atmosphere of anxiety and uncertainty. The world lived under the threat of the mushroom cloud, aware that the Cold War rivalry could escalate into a nuclear holocaust at any moment. Civil defense drills, fallout shelters, and public service announcements about surviving a nuclear attack became grim reminders of the ever-present danger. The Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962, a stark reminder of the world's vulnerability to nuclear war, brought the superpowers to the brink of annihilation. The crisis, triggered by the deployment of Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba, highlighted the devastating consequences of miscalculation and the urgent need for communication and restraint in the nuclear age. Beneath the surface of the Cold War's ideological and technological rivalry, a clandestine conflict unfolded, a shadow war waged in the realms of espionage, covert operations, and propaganda. This unseen struggle, though less visible than military confrontations or political speeches, played an equally crucial role in shaping the outcome of this tumultuous period in world history. The United States and the Soviet Union established vast intelligence networks, employing spies, defectors, and technological surveillance to gather information, undermine their adversary, and influence events in their favor. These networks were often staffed by ordinary individuals recruited for their specific skills or access to sensitive information, and trained to conduct clandestine operations with utmost precision and secrecy. Intelligence agencies like the CIA and the KGB played a pivotal role in the course of the Cold War, engaging in covert operations, supporting coups d'état, and manipulating political movements in various parts of the world. These operations ranged from infiltrating political groups to assassinating influential leaders, funding revolutions, and spreading disinformation to destabilize the enemy. These clandestine activities, often shrouded in secrecy and denial, had a significant impact on the political landscape of numerous countries, fueling instability and exacerbating regional conflicts. The consequences of these actions were felt far beyond the borders of the superpowers, affecting the daily lives of ordinary citizens and reshaping international alliances. The Cold War was also a battleground for a fierce propaganda war, with each side seeking to win hearts and minds through carefully crafted narratives, disinformation campaigns, and cultural diplomacy. Mass media outlets, including radio, television, and print, were utilized to disseminate ideological messages, often exaggerating the flaws of the adversary while glorifying each side's own achievements. Radio broadcasts, films, literature, and cultural exchanges became tools in this ideological battle, aiming to promote the virtues of one side while demonizing the other. Cultural festivals, art exhibitions, and academic exchanges were all avenues to showcase the cultural and intellectual superiority of each bloc, while attempting to sway neutral or undecided populations. The shadow wars, fought in the realms of espionage, covert operations and propaganda, added a layer of complexity to the Cold War, highlighting the multifaceted nature of this global rivalry and its far-reaching consequences. Every clandestine action, every secret operation, every propaganda campaign contributed to a global chess game where each move could have unforeseen and far-reaching repercussions. These clandestine conflicts, often hidden from public view, left a lasting legacy of suspicion, mistrust and political instability in many parts of the world. The scars of this shadow war are still visible today in strained international relations, rigid security policies and lingering mistrust between former adversaries. The Cold War, though over, continues to shape our modern world in subtle yet undeniable ways. The Cold War, though officially relegated to the history books, continues to shape the geopolitical landscape of the 21st century. The rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, fueled by ideological conflict, technological competition, and the constant threat of nuclear war, left an indelible mark on world affairs. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, while seemingly marking the triumph of democracy and capitalism, did not erase the underlying tensions and mistrust that had defined the Cold War era. Today's world grapples with the legacy of this conflict, from the ongoing war in Ukraine to the resurgence of Russia and the rise of China as a global power. Echoes of the Cold War are discernible in the renewed emphasis on military alliances, the proliferation of nuclear weapons, and the use of propaganda and disinformation in international relations. The challenges of a multipolar world, with its complex web of alliances, rivalries and shared threats, demand a nuanced understanding of the lessons learned from the Cold War. The importance of diplomacy, communication, and a commitment to international cooperation, as demonstrated during periods of détente, has never been greater. As we navigate the complexities of the 21st century, the legacy of the Cold War serves as both a warning and a reminder of the importance of seeking peaceful solutions to global challenges. If you found this video insightful, please subscribe to our channel, like this video and share it with others. Your support helps us create more content like this.